All I want any recruiter to know is that I'm so much more than just my resume.
Lol. Come on. We both know that all these recruitment platforms are only designed for the companies to get what they want.
They don't care about candidates like us. Not all, buddy. Have you heard of TAG?
Karan Roy, data scientist. TAG scored 96%. Interesting.
That's me. And thanks to TAG, now she knows all about my functional, behavioral, technical, and all other relevant skills. TAG indeed is a game changer for me. When I signed up for it, it created the structured, validated, and enriched profile mapped across my numerous skills, knowledge base, and work experience, and created a score. My TAG score. The score and profiling help me present my best professional version to any employer. They can easily find what they need, and if I'm the right fit, my profile shows up instantly. This way, TAG not only helps candidates like me land their dream jobs, but also figure out where they stand amongst their peers and also identify the areas they need to work on.
Wow, this is just the kind of candidate I need. I like how detailed his profile is. Should I even interview this guy?
See? This is how TAG is bringing clarity, communication, and dignity back for us candidates. It also gives me an access to a community of peers, career circles, thousands of jobs, and marquee employers like her to further aid my career growth. Are you kidding me? Did you just get hired within minutes?
Good evening, friends. Thank you so much for joining this Thursday afternoon for the fourth episode of Career Circles Live. My name is Devashish Sharma, and I will be your host for today's session. Career Circles are exclusive talent communities by TAG, where talent professionals like each one of you can connect with industry mentors, career experts, peers, and recruiters. Career Circles Live is an edition of these conversations which are open and where we bring the best minds and mentors from the industry to share the latest trends shaping up work with professionals like you. So friends, without much further ado, let's kickstart this fourth episode of Career Circles Live. As you may know, the theme for today's session is the Pharma Frontiers, and we are joined by leadership representation from Dr. Reddy's Laboratories, one of the most aspiring global pharmaceutical companies from India to work for. It is known for its innovative medicines and healthcare solutions. Please join me in welcoming our guest speaker, Namrata Gill, Vice President, Human Resources at Dr. Reddy's. Namrata is known for her knack for bringing out the best in people. She is one of the most dynamic, hands-on leaders in this industry. So in the next 40 to 50 minutes, we are going to bring forward everything related to careers in pharma with our guest leader. But before we do that, a quick few checks for all of you who have joined us in this session today. This is going to be an interactive session. So at any point of time, if you have any questions, please put them in the chat window and I will ensure you do get an answer. Something to look out for: if your question is loved by Namrata, you may be one of the few 5 lucky winners to receive an Amazon gift voucher worth 1,000 rupees. So please keep your thinking hats on. And while you do that, let me welcome Namrata. And here she is, of course. Namrata, thank you so much for joining us today, and more so, joining us for discussing a domain that is rising tremendously in India and, of course, globally, contributing very, very significantly. And of course, the pandemic did give it a surge, but we know even after the pandemic, things are looking amazing for India and with what Dr. Reddy's is doing globally. And I'm definitely not exaggerating. Today, of all the talent we hire for over 100 plus of our customers, 20% of them have a pharmaceutical specific skill set. So before we begin, I want everyone to know that most of the questions I'm about to ask were put forward by our dear audience. So thank you, audience, for that. And of course, let's get the ball rolling. So Namrata, how are you feeling being at Career Circles today? You look amazing as always.
I'm feeling super excited, and I'm super excited to read the chat. It's such an animated chat. Um, I also think that it's an amazing opportunity to be in pharma. So pharma industry is going to grow 160% year on year. Indian pharma industry, it's a huge opportunity. And for those of you who thought that pharma is not the scale, pharma is the place where you should be. So I'm super excited to talk to you, Devashish, as always. In many ways, I have seen you changing and evolving both as a person and as a leader. So very, very proud of you and very proud of the work that you guys have done.
Oh, Namrata, you are so kind and always such a great lighthouse as always. Of course, I always feel so awed with Dr. Reddy's Laboratories. I mean, a brand from India, a founder like Dr. Anji Reddy, today in 65 countries, over 25,000 employees, some of the best known medical um, brands, as well as something that we recall every day, not only in India, but even in the US, in Europe, and emerging markets, all going from Dr. Reddy's. We all know the story of how Dr. Reddy's, through the partnership with Russia, was able to bring the vaccine into India, one of the early runners to do that. So we're very, very, very proud of this relationship. And of course, first things first, since that is the case, I think what we'll do is, Namrata, the questions that I have from the audience, we know that talent in the pharma industry can get bifurcated into majorly, of course, we have a great sales function. We also have R&D. We also have, just give me a second. We also have, of course, other than manufacturing, engineering, shop floor, and other than that, we have IT, which is now right at the center stage. So all these questions, we'll try to weave around these four boxes, if that's okay with you.
Happy to do that. Happy
Okay,
to do that.
fantastic. Fantastic. So first things first, of course, you've been a part of this pharma industry for nearly a decade, more than a decade, of course, a huge career with manufacturing engineering in India, but with pharma having gone through that period when pharma has gone through some of its biggest leaps in our country and abroad. What are your views on this sector's employability, this sector's landscape and talent, Namrata? Some views and thoughts from you.
So, Devashish, thank you for asking me. It's a wonderful question. So I'll tell you, pharma industry in India, India is the pharmacy to the world, which means 20% of the medicines all over the world, 1 in 5 medicines is made in India. So it's as simple as that. And it is the major leverage that our country, India, has over world. We are into mainly generics in India, right? But I think we are increasing day by day. So pharma sector has one of the most knowledge intensive and innovative practices that I ever need. And
Yeah.
if I talk about Dr. Reddy's, I think digital in Dr. Reddy's is so advanced. I was just seeing some example of digital in R&D. Nobody
Wow.
else has so much digital in R&D like Dr. Reddy has. So I think it's just great place to be. It's a great opportunity, and the world is your oyster.
Amazing, amazing, Namrata. And I couldn't agree more. I mean, some of the global reports, including Decoding Jobs, which is a report which TAG brings together with professionals like you contributing qualitatively and quantitatively into that report. We have a complete dossier section on pharmaceutical. It is inferred by everyone from the Planning Commission of India to the Prime Minister's office, academia, and worldwide. Um, the pharma sector globally employs 2.8 million people. And by 2025, we are expected to add 60,000 more jobs in India alone. So, given all of this, in terms of the landscape in these four sections of talent within pharma, what do you think is in demand today? You, of course, spoke how digital is becoming center stage in R&D, and Dr. Reddy is leading the front there. You have such an amazing R&D center. What do you think has become obsolete? What is now today a reality? And what do you think would be some of those skills that will come out in the future that people should look for?
So I'll start with entry level jobs, right?
Yeah, sure.
So, in entry level job in sales, which is the frontline jobs, we take B Farm mainly, but we also look at sciences, right? We look at BScs, all the sciences also going forward. So, this is entry level roles in sales. Within sales, there are other entry level jobs. For example, we take also management MBAs with pharma background, like Naipar or Narsin Munji has, where they do advanced sales or marketing roles within sales. Then there's the third category, which we call internally as YLP, which we go to Premium Management College, IIM Ahmedabad, IIM Bangalore, and we
Sure.
hire them for specific roles like strategy and other roles, right? So these YLPs undergo 15 months of what we call stint-based induction. So they do
Wow.
a stint in rural, they do stint in they do a stint API, they do in rural India, in metros, in non-metros. So this is the way it goes for sales. In R&D, I'm categorizing into two parts. We have biosimilars, we also have R&D, we also have a discovery business, right? So the entry point, if you just go out of college, we take M-Farms. We go to selected colleges. Like today, I am there in Naipar Mohali, right? So Naipar Mohali is one of the colleges that we go to recruit M-Farm. We also take MScs, typically from, let's say, IIT BHU or ICER. ICERs are the IITs of science. So they're the government-led institutes, which are the IITs of science, right? So that is the typical entry point, and then there's a PhD entry point, where we go to ISC depending on the relevance and the subject of PhD. So this is the whole landscape for R&D. In manufacturing, it's
An
very
entry
interesting
stage. At an entry stage, right?
at an entry
All
stage.
entry stage, yeah.
Entry stage. Right? Then we go to manufacturing. Manufacturing has four entry points. The first entry point is actually plus two, where we recruit young boys and girls from plus two, recruit them as a trainee, make them do graduation while they are trainees, and absorb them as officers. This program is called SFT program, and we also pay for their education and their living in this period. So they do
Wow.
what we call as the community living, right? The second entry point is your normal engineering talent, that REC state colleges, etc. Then there's also an M-Pharm entry point. We also take pharmacy graduates, and then there's an IIT entry point. In supply chain management, we also take operations management people. So this is the whole landscape that is in front of us while being here. In DPEX, typically we go to computer science graduates and MBAs from premier institutes. Our team is very niche and they're very dedicated towards creating a digital pharma organization. In fact, sometimes we forget we are a pharma, we think we are a digital organization.
Yeah,
It's that latest. We also
amazing.
integrating some startups within this. So this is something that we talk about.
Amazing. This is, I think nobody could have articulated this entire bifurcation of an entry level, um, um, entry level onboarding into the pharmaceutical sector with Dr. Reddy's as clearly as you have, Namrata. And if I stick on to this entry level part of where we hire, uh, your hiring managers when they are, and I don't want to give away the mantra, of course, that is, of course, privy to Dr. Reddy's, but your hiring managers, what would they look at from, of course, a techno-functional standpoint, whether I look at sales, whether I look at, of course, the R&D or the manufacturing part, or even for the IT part, what is the techno-functional skill set attributes that would be expected that the candidates should be great at? And also I would want you to give some bit of semblance on the cultural aspect of fitment within an organization that is now so reputed as Dr. Reddy's. So if you could techno-functional and the cultural aspects for entry level candidates.
Yeah. So we typically look for there was she somebody who has a fire in the belly. So we like our people to be aspirational, really aspirational, and we need somebody who can push the envelope, challenges the status quo, right? So we
Yeah.
are not looking for very. At the same time, we are looking for very high integrity. Uh, at entry level, we look for depth also. We
Yeah.
don't typically hire width people. We like to hire depth people, whether it's science, whether it's engineering. So it is not so much about communication, but how well do you know what you've studied.
And you
So
can get anecdotal about this. You can give
yes,
some
yes, of
examples.
course, of course. So
It'll be fun
I
to hear that.
typically when I go to a college and I interview, or let's say I was there in, I don't know which IIM was it, Bangalore or Calcutta. So I was asking people in that IIM, I was asking them which is your favorite subject. How would you define it? And then you try to dig deeper.
Yeah.
So typically people say marketing strategy, etc., etc. So then you keep asking them, so what have you heard about it? What is the latest that you're doing it? These days, data sciences also comes into forefront. So you ask them about the project they've done, what they've done. What my typical question is also, what do you don't know?
Hmm.
You know. So
Very good question.
yeah. So what are you not good at? What is it that you
It
don't know?
ties down with the fire in the belly thing that you just said, because the person needs to be hungry and the glass doesn't need to be full to be able to.
Exactly, exactly. And I can tell you, Devashish, we got selected in our companies at a great time. Today, you and I wouldn't have got selected if we went back at
I'm sure. I'm sure. I'm
no, at least
absolutely.
me, I'm sure I wouldn't have got selected
No, no,
again.
likewise, completely. With how competitive it is today, and coming
Exactly.
to competition, especially, I mean, it is pharma in India, of course, is being the pharmacy of the world. And I know that with many organizations, especially the international ones that are in India, almost 70% of their workforce is sales. But in case of Dr. Reddy's, because this is the hub and center for everything, still about 35 to 40% of your workforce makes up for sales leaders across the length and breadth of India and abroad. So when it comes to our sales leaders are say on the ground, um, how does this fire in the belly work? And you can, of course, again get anecdotal. It'll be good to hear some of your stories and instances with our sales colleagues, because I know many of our aspiring sales candidates have joined us today.
Yes. So I think in sales, I think one of the things that people forget is that while it's also about performance, it's also about potential, right? So one of the things that we look for is people who became big, but how they became big, right? Sales, for example, marketing code is extreme of doctors and healthcare professionals. We call HCPs is extremely important. So we start that is our starting point. We also look at people who have failed, right? People who have delivered but also failed many times, right? So it's also about one of the people I love to hire the most, Devashish, is failed entrepreneurs.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So that is extremely important, and those are the valuable lessons that you learn as you go along.
This
I
is so
think
profound. Very
in
profound, I must say.
yeah, in sales, I think people need to understand the role of marketing. It is I'm hiring you for sales, but I want you to appreciate the role of marketing and product management. Once you can leverage that, that is my ideal sales leader.
Amazing, amazing. And you know, I'm so happy you spoke about marketing, because when I apply what Dr. Reddy's does and creates his products as some of the medicines, I mean, at least half of them I know: Omes, Razo, Ketorol, the moisturizer cream, Venurcia, all of these I personally use. So, so I think what you just said resonates so well. It is extremely important for sales leaders to know the overall marketing strategy of a pharmaceutical organization, the width, depth, and spread, like that is in Dr. Reddy's. Because they need to know that they need to follow the cue that comes from marketing. Otherwise, what happens? They will tend to lose at the pin code where they are supposed to deliver. Am I
Exactly.
right about that?
Exactly. And one of the things that is happening in pharma is the whole e-commerce space. It's exploded like anything. So for a good salesperson, you need to get your digital quotient right. We call it a
Oh,
digital quotient. So you need to be digitally savvy. You need to
mm,
understand how you can leverage digital for better use. So
wow.
that is where the interplay between digital and sales happens.
Amazing. And is this a key ask in all the sales roles these days as part of your commitment to quality
In
parameters?
some of not so frontline, but other things, yes, we measure digital quotient.
Amazing.
We measure how digitally savvy the people are.
Fantastic, fantastic. I know that because my father is a doctor, and a lot of the sales leaders from organizations like Dr. Reddy's these days come armed with a lot of the digital work, and they almost bring it into the doctor's chamber and are able to run them not only through PowerPoints but so much other. Even the permutation combination of the chemical composition of
Yes,
the
they know
medication.
knowing your products well, right? Exactly.
Absolutely, absolutely. By the way, I'm an honors in industrial chemistry, and I've studied pharma as part of that subject from Hansraj College.
Yeah, you should
So,
totally apply,
yeah,
Devashish.
it is amazing. It is amazing. So this is what it is at the entry level. When Dr. Reddy's is hiring laterals, lateral candidates, and you hire from a plethora. You hire, of course, from the pharma domain, but I know that Dr. Reddy's has been so open to integrating from other domains, whether it's manufacturing and digital, even from other areas. How does that work for you, Namrata, and for Dr. Reddy's?
So one of the things which we have learned is pharma in India is very incestuous, right? People hire from each other all the time. So
Yeah.
basically, the pool gets limited, right? The
Mm.
whole pool gets limited. You're hiring the same person. You don't have a value
Mhm.
proposition.
Yeah.
So we hire something called as a bench,
Mm.
right? We typically, like at
Okay.
a leadership level or at middle management, we started going outside pharma to FMCG,
Mm.
and we spend some time what we call as a pharmacization.
Pharmacization. What is that?
Yes.
How does that
So
work?
so basically, let's say we hire a plant head. I'm giving you just an example.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
hire a plant head, let's say from a Unilever. Right
Hmm.
now, this person doesn't know pharma regulations, how pharma works,
Yeah.
the FDA
Very strict.
regulation,
Yeah.
and also the pharma. He's a mechanical engineer. He or she is a mechanical engineer, and he
Mm.
doesn't know the interplay that happens with the chemical compounds, etc. So what you do is you put them on a bench for 18 to 24 months where you do
Wow.
even at the senior levels, they do stints, right? They do 3 months in operational excellence, 3 months in quality, 2 months here. And by the 18 months, they're ready to become a plant head, right? And
Wow.
that is what we do. And that is a pharmacization exercise that
That
we do.
is so
And that is
amazing.
the way I think we expand the talent pool that is available to us.
Amazing, amazing. I mean, this is such a great information because I mean, of course, Dr. Reddy's has what you the revenues that he posted was $2.83 billion.
Yes.
So you can afford to do this kind of an investment. I'm not sure about the smaller pharma players in India,
Yes.
but an organization the depth of Dr. Reddy certainly can, and I'm amazed because this obviously is contributing to this nation building because pharma, with its prospect in India and India being the pharmacy hub for the world, Dr. Reddy certainly becomes center stage with this kind of investment. So that
One
is
of the
amazing.
one of the other things is we are a very purpose-driven company, right? We
Okay.
think our purpose is good health can't wait and taking affordable medicines for the patients. So in
Amazing.
hiring, we look for people have a purpose, get inspired by a purpose. So purpose is at every role, at every level. We look for people who who get inspired by a purpose or who want to live a purpose to make a difference in the life of patients. So this is something.
And just when somebody joins and as their career progression happens, are they being measured against this purpose and value system time and again?
Yes. So we have translated into something we call as
Okay.
aspire behaviors, and the everybody gets measured them. In fact, our policies are so progressive, Devashish. Are planning to work at incentivizing horizontal movements
Wow.
because we think that talent should have fungibility. So if I decide that Namrata is doing L&D and she wants to become a compensation and benefits professional, so there'll be an added financial incentive for me. It's as good as a promotion. We found that people wanted to move vertically. Nobody wants to move horizontally, right? Because growth is vertical. But then we found out reasons because we incentivize and we create a big crown around promotions, right?
Promotion, vertical promotion.
Vertical promotion.
But
So we
and
are
then
saying,
it could be a horizontal promotion too.
yes, yes,
VP
exactly.
role.
Yes.
Yeah.
Horizontal, so incentivizing the horizontal movement. So that is where I think that is why you were talking about expanding talent pool. So my salesperson can do supply chain, right?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah,
Some of
amazing.
the roles become more fungible.
Completely fungibility. And what percentage of your population would you see opting for or really finding that a horizontal growth really works for them?
So what we've done is each role at vertical level has something called must-have experiences, right?
Okay.
And you don't get to that role till you have must have experiences and incentivizing. So to be honest, the percentage is not great, but we are getting there.
So people would need to go through some kind of a soaking themselves in a metamorphosis of kind to be able to land up there.
That's right.
Yeah, gather that experience and be able to move horizontally. That's
That's
fantastic.
right.
That's fantastic. Now when I come to all things digital, and you just spoke about R&D and R&D bringing digital to its core. Uh, could I hear of some examples on how this happens?
Yes.
And I know
So
you are yourself a very big digital enthusiast. Uh, that's amazing. Yeah. So if you could tell
So
me
I
about.
think two things. So the lab notebooks, right? So there are no lab notebooks. Everything is digitalized.
Yeah.
Even the markers, for example, we call them insulin markers that
Uh-huh.
we have for our experiment. Even they
Yes.
are digitalized. So there's nothing manual. There are no papers in R&D. And
Wow.
I'm so proud of the digital work that has happened in R&D,
Hmm.
manufacturing, even in sales. It's
Yeah.
amazing. I think we spend disproportionate time and energy
Hmm.
digitalizing
Yes.
everything
So,
that we
so
do.
I know for sure that on your shop floor, you have these OEM specialists, right? And those are people who, because of the original equipment being so heavily digitized, they need to have huge digital certification themselves. Uh,
Yes, we call
so
them digital ninjas. So you
digital
will not
ninjas.
digital ninjas. Yes, you will not believe how many people we have signed up as digital ninjas. So, and like senior people, junior people, I would think 3,000, 4,000 people are certified digital ninjas in the organization.
Amazing, fantastic, fantastic. You have a huge strength of machine operators on shop floor,
Yeah.
Namrata, at Dr. Reddy's. And all of these are best in class, best in their work. They all are certified to be shop floor compliant. They they work very closely with your QC QA. So we want to hear firsthand from you, how is this life, and how do these skills work on ground on the shop floor at Dr. Reddy's, and your
So I
experience interacting
So
with such colleagues.
first of all, I was talking to you about 10 plus 2. So we don't have
Yes,
blue collared workers. They are
yes,
officers and trainees, and we have a huge number. But these are also young, enthusiastic people, right?
yeah.
So it's extremely easy. Sometimes they may be more technology savvy than you and I are,
Oh
right?
wow.
So I just think that it is all our we have something called as MES. We have digital manufacturing. One of
Mhm,
our plants is actually a digital lighthouse, and it is
mhm.
featured in World Economic Forum. So
Yes.
I
Wow.
think with this, the whole so when you need to go digital, you need to capture the whole ecosystem, right? You
Yeah.
can't do one thing at a time, and that
Mhm.
is how it has happened. The digital
So
ecosystem.
what I'm hearing is Dr. Reddy's has been able to bring digital to intertwine in its DNA across.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, great, great. I'll also want to talk about a few other skills which are greatly in demand, and I know that Dr. Reddy's does keep looking for people who are highly skilled. Supply chain is a big area, and also safety, health, and environment. People
Oh,
who,
yes.
uh, I mean, you all follow some of the stringent norms, and you are laying the benchmark in this country for Indian or pharma organizations to follow those international norms, and that is the reason why you've grown to 64 countries. So we want to
Yes.
hear from you on what are those benchmarks, and how does Dr. Reddy's filter on these roles for supply chain and also safety, health, and environment?
So I think supply chain, we go to the see our whole system is very complex. Even if you think about purchase, a role of a purchase person, procurement person, it's highly complex because it's dynamic and number of products that somebody has to deal with is among us.
Hmm.
So why we try to develop people internally wherever we can,
Hmm.
or remember the things that we said, we take people on bench. We
Yes.
take high potential people on bench and pharmacize them with our
Hmm.
requirements.
Hmm.
The other thing is it's complexity, it's also scale. And
Hmm.
not many organizations have done that, been there, done that. We also rely on very good institutes, right? Our academia institute interaction is, academia industry interaction is very strong, right? Third is that we have something, we very good development journeys for people when they come.
Hmm.
After we recruit them, we put them into massive development journeys that they develop themselves. So supply chain is extremely critical. Which was the other one you asked? Sorry, Devashish, one was supply chain.
I asked about supply chain, and I asked about safety, health, and
Oh,
environment.
yes. So we don't call it safety, we call it sustainability, and our
Same.
ESG norms are very strong, right?
Mhm.
One of the
Yes,
things
I'm aware of that.
So one of the things that I look for as a if I'm a recruiter, I
Hmm.
look for organization which are doing genuine things,
Uh-huh.
right? We don't look only for certification, but you know how sustainability you actually apply it, and the organization stands for that principles. If we are hiring laterally, right? There are a lot of organizations where they are ESG people, but they are not very serious and committed to the cause of ESG. So that
Mhm.
is where we look for.
Great, great. Fantastic, Namrata, and this is so amazing. Now, when it comes to you, and I know you've been at the forefront of this, you've also held a lot of roles where you've been the leader in ethics in not only in Dr. Reddy's, but in previous organizations too. When you're hiring for senior talent, mid to senior talent, especially. And at the end of the day, it is a very competitive business, and Dr. Reddy's is a business, right? At the end of the day, uh, how do you ensure that you have the best business leaders come in without people compromising on ethics integrity? How does that happen?
So three ways.
Your,
They were
in your personal mantra. I know
yeah,
you have
yeah.
this very keen eye.
Yeah, three ways. Devashish, one is we have very specific questions which all the interview panel asks for, right? Like if there are six sets of interviews, there's one or two specific questions which go in every. And in our integration meeting, we look for consistency there.
Hmm.
For example, simple question: Why did you leave this company?
Mhm.
Right?
Yeah.
Second thing is of course what everybody does is a background check,
Mhm.
right? And background checks are extremely critical.
Mm.
Third is that when we do reference checks with somebody,
Mm.
we spend around an hour and a half doing a reference check for the leaders. So it is extremely thorough, and we do it like 3 companies back, 4 companies back,
Mm.
so that we catch few things here and there, and then we also go back to the employee and substantiate them at times. So I think consistency in interview question catches most of them, if you were to ask me.
Yes, yes, and I'm aware of that, and I've been privy to the way you do your interviews. So fantastic for having letting us know that mantra. I think people will certainly want to work on that. Now, Namrata, you have always carried the baton for diversity, not only gender diversity, even otherwise within all the big organizations. And in India, manufacturing at large, which also includes pharma, is unfortunately male dominant. We are seeing a lot of changing trends, and China is a fantastic example. It might be a great competitive nation of ours, but they have been able to bring within just 1.5 decades, they've been able to change the entire paradigm of bringing women to the center of the manufacturing workforce. What is your vision for this country of ours and the way women would come and play a central role on the shop floor? I know you've made great strides in sales. But when it comes to the shop floor, manufacturing and R&D, what is your vision and what is happening now? How do you see it changing on the ground?
So, three ways in manufacturing. The first one is that entry level you can change it because there's better talent pool.
Mhm.
Second is what we've done is when we see a good manufacturing talent who's a woman, we don't wait for a role to open up.
Uh,
So we actually take a person, decide a person, and then take a match a role to fit the person. We also take that extra burden of bench developing the talent. So
yeah.
for women, we don't do just in time recruitment. It's a continuous engine that keeps on working, and that is how we do it. Uh, we also are looking for a lot of women leaders. We are
Mhm.
always looking for a lot of women leaders because we think that if a plant is headed by women, chances are more women will join.
Amazing. Amazing, fantastic. And I know that you mandate this is a clear metric that you track gender diversity. Um, I mean, as a leader yourself and across Dr. Reddy's, this is one big metric that is tracked. Um in your experience, Namrata, what does growth look like for pharma professionals in Dr. Reddy's and in general in the next decade? How do you see it panning out? You did briefly stress upon it right in the beginning, but and you've stressed also upon digital being at the center. But how would people look at their growth path going ahead?
So this decade belongs to Indian pharma industry. I think COVID has been really helpful in putting Indian pharma industry at center
Yes,
stage. Uh,
yes.
so I think I would think three things. The first is that uh, you have what we've done is we've done away with cyclic promotions, right? So if the role is available and the person is there, we promote throughout the year. So that is where growth happens. Second is we've created those development journeys for people to lead up. For example, if we want to do business development, mergers and acquisition. So here we have a path where you do them. Third thing is we've put some growth bridges in place, and I want to spend a minute talking to you about it,
Sure,
Devashish.
sure.
So we used to hire a lot of people from IMs, and typically IMs guys come at 18 to 25 lakh salary per year,
Yeah.
right? They're expensive. So sometimes we found that people who've been working uh, uh, organically, their salary doesn't grow that much, while some of them are very competent. So what we launched is something we call as internal YLP program, where
Internal.
we YLP program, which
ILP.
is that they undergo 15 months of stint and then they get placed into roles equivalent to IM guys, right?
Very
And
interesting.
they get the same salary.
And get the same compensation.
Yes, yes. So that is
Amazing.
the way people are growing, and that is what we are doing for growth of people.
Amazing. This is very, very innovative. And at Dr. Reddy's, you of course hear from all the sections of people all the time. What is it that you generally hear on these great initiatives? People participate, they believe that they are growing tremendously.
Yeah.
What is it
So
that you
I
hear
think
from the ground?
yeah, they look forward to it, but we've just begun, Devashish. So
Okay.
for it to become a lingo and people speaking about it, I think we have time to go. It also depends on how well we carry out these initiatives, how well we execute them, right? In the coming times, we are doing our best. Hopefully, it'll look up.
Amazing, amazing. And having worked with you in the past, of course, we know how difficult it is to drive change on ground. So, especially when it comes to driving such amazing opportunities, creating such amazing opportunities. But there will always be people who will want to, bring such ideas down. But I think at the end of the day, one is able to win with making this work on ground. Fantastic. I have this question that is coming up. Um, IT skills, can we list a few, Namrata, that are very common for Dr. Reddy's, whether it's in R&D, whether it is in sales? This is all coming up right now.
So, data science and data engineering,
Data
these are
science.
extremely important. Machine learning is another skill
Uh-huh.
that is extremely important. I would
Mhm.
also say that how do you understand the whole thing on platform thinking, right? For
Hmm.
example,
Yeah,
how do you create platforms like Airbnb, like when
sure.
consumer and supplier are on the same page, right?
Same, same,
So
same.
I think we are tending a lot in our horizon two, which is our future,
Mhm.
into innovation and health tech, right?
Innovation in health tech. Yeah.
Yes.
Fantastic. I know that Dr. Reddy's is partnering with some of the largest OEMs globally. to be able to bring healthcare to the forefront. So yes, that is fantastic, and thank you for listing out those data science, machine learning, data engineering, and understanding of a platform business model. That is one question. I hope everyone got those answers from Namrata. Another big question that has come up is, and candidates want to know this. As per you, Namrata, what are the common career mistakes pharma professionals make? And you can please tell narratives around it, some stories, because I know you have a few.
Yeah.
People will relate more to that.
So I think one of the things that one of the biggest career mistakes that we mistake titles for roles,
Oh,
right? So if somebody calls you vice president, you think you've got a bigger role.
yeah,
Actually, it's not.
it's not absolutely
It's all about the role. Title doesn't matter, right? So
completely.
this is something everybody needs to remember, that we can call you anything, right? But it doesn't matter till you should know the role that you're doing. So a plant head is a plant head, whether you call a factory manager, whether you call a plant head or vice president or group president, the role remains the same, right? And that's the biggest mistake that pharma people make. Second mistake I've seen in young in your career, you choose not to be mobile, right?
Not to be mobile. Oh
Yeah,
God.
yeah. So you have to be mobile no matter where you want to go. So I have seen even people from, let's say, Chandigarh don't want to go to Badi. They want to find a job in Chandigarh or
Chandigarh.
Hyderabad, Vizag, right? So I think the moment you make mobility a constraint in your life, you don't grow.
You don't grow.
Yeah,
I couldn't
exactly.
agree more. And this is where I think today's generation is very different from ours. I believe when it came to being mobile and being flexible to be able to do things, in my view, our generation did it much better. I do feel these days people want to get locked down to their location and just the ease of being where they are, not wanting to come out of their comfort zones. So that, of course, is very big piece. One last question that is coming up, and I won't take more than that. Namrata, one tip to candidates, and I think they're taking advantage of you being here. But one tip to candidates applying for jobs at Dr. Reddy's.
I think
So,
when you are interviewed, and the question that why do you want to join Dr. Reddy's, you need to have a very specific answer. You need to be extremely specific. What is it in for that you? I've seen people say, "Oh, it's a great organization. It doesn't run." And I think for me, for any candidate in any organization, when you apply, the elevator speech has to be thought through. I've seen people coming and thinking about, oh, what they want to do, how they want to do, etc. when they come for interview. So I
hmm,
think your elevator speech, why you want to join this organization and why we should hire you. These two questions, your elevator speech has to be perfect. It has to be specific. It has to have sufficient details, not too many, and it should be an answer only you can give.
uh, so you would want a real answer from people, but they should have done their homework in understanding,
Exactly.
going through Dr. Reddy's, what their aspirations are, marrying the two, creating an elevator pitch around it, uh, quantifying it at places so that the person who's questioning them can relate to it. At the end of it, whatever that elevator pitch is, it has to be a real story. That genuinity should come out, the genuineness should come out.
Yes. Yes.
Fantastic, fantastic. Namrata, it has been an absolute pleasure. And I, of course, have interacted with you in this format after a very long time. I hope to continue to be fortunate to be doing this in the future too. Thank you for your time. I'm
Thank
certain
you.
certain people who've joined today aspiring to be in pharma at Dr. Reddy's would have taken great notes and will benefit from this. So thank you so much,
Thank
Namrita.
you
Thank you
very much.
everyone.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Rahul. Thank you, Devashish.
Thank you. Bye bye.